Since the start of the story, we only had 4 established legends. The rest were either too active, too unknown, or too freaking dead. They are the man who can destroy the very world and was called the strongest man. The right-hand man of Pirate King himself, the Dark King and the teacher of the future savior of the world. The previous fleet admiral of Marine with the mighty power of Buddha itself. And the legendary hero of Marine with the almighty fist of love. Hello and welcome to my second channel. In this video, we're gonna rank the 4 legends of One Piece world, and we're gonna rank them based on old age, and I will guarantee you the results are actually freaking unbelievable. If you wanna see me comparing the new legends to old legends, check out this video. By the way, we also have other legends like Shiki Silver Axe or Wang Xi, and some of them might be alive and active, but since we know nothing, I'm not gonna include them in this video. At number 4, we have the Marine that I personally love him more than every other legend. And that's because of the complexity of this character. He can be very evil, like attacking Ohara for the wrong orders of government, but he also can be very nice for showing a lot of love to an abandoned child like Rosinante. Of course, I'm talking about the Buddha himself, Sengoku. On his prime, he was acknowledged by Roger himself, the Pirate King, that if you wanna capture me, bring Garp or Sengoku. Now, this doesn't mean Sengoku was strong enough to single-handedly capture Roger, but Roger acknowledged his power and compared him easily with Garp. He was always shown to be a partner of Garp, and I would argue that most people will look at them like equals. I believe Sengoku was the brain and Garp was the muscle, but again, to all of the worlds, they were 2 equal legendary fighters of Marine. And he climbed the ladder of power to the Fleet Admiral level. And we all know that the Fleet Admiral is a person above the Admiral level. I mean, why not? He has one of the best mythical Zoans out there, the best devil fruit for one-on-one fight, an advanced version of Conquer Hockey. I mean, we never saw him having advanced Conquer Hockey, but since he was the first Marine with a confirmed Conquer Hockey, having advanced Conquer Hockey for him is basically given. And let's not forget, under the watch of this man, Shiki, Roger, and Whitebeard were ended as a pirate. This man was one of the major reasons for the end of the golden era of piracy. But at the old age, he is somewhat questionable. At the beginning, his basic Devil Fruit punch was blocked by Gear 3 Luffy, which is honestly not that impressive. Later on, Blackbeard, the only person in the story who fought against all 4 persons in this list, did not acknowledge Sengoku as a man to be feared. This is very important, especially because later on he did in fact fear one of these legends, but Sengoku wasn't one of them. And although Sengoku sent him and his crew flying away, we saw later on that a casual Kuzan did far better against a much stronger crew. And few panels after that, the teacher who barely got his devil food was able to match him equally. And another surprising fact, nowhere, as far as I can remember, nowhere in the manga, Sengoku was actually called a legend. Garp was hailed as a heroic legend countless times, but I cannot remember even a single time anybody called Sengoku a legend. Overall, I am on board to say that Prime Sengoku was a Yonko level, not stronger than Shanks or Kaido, but still a Yonko level. But at his old age, I would argue even the new admirals like Fujitora and Greenbolt are stronger than him. At number 3, we have Rayleigh. Surprisingly, Rayleigh has the least amount of feat and hype as a prime fighter. We basically have only one filler fight of him fingering a teenage Marco. But he was a full beastly master of 3 types of advanced hockey, and probably was called the Dark King and the King of Underworld for a reason. And not to mention, every living person on world heard the name of Rayleigh at least once, making him, without a question, on the highest level of fame ever. And at the old age, we have a lot more things to go on compared to Sengoku. Garp himself said, hey, do you want Marine to go against 2 legends at the same time? Meaning it was too risky to go after Rayleigh and Whitebeard at the same time, which is a lot of hype. And his fight against Kizaru was astonishing. Kizaru is one of their strongest admirals yet, and perhaps the strongest active admiral as of now. And a rusty Rayleigh stopped him. Again, just like Sengoku, who was out of action for 25 years, Rayleigh was out of action for like 20 years, but all of a sudden, he touched his sword, he made Kizaru bleed, and he fought him very good. And Kizaru was pissed that, hey, you're stopping me and you want to do more? You're gonna make me look bad. And let's not forget, Kizaru captured 500 people out of rage because he failed to capture Rayleigh. And him becoming the master and teacher of Luffy made him be a bit not rusty and be active once more. In a filler fight, the basic Rayleigh with no haki demolished Gear 4 Luffy. You know what is crazy? Marine actively knows where Rayleigh is, but nobody is going after him because this is too risky. And also, there is a chance if they attack Rayleigh, Shanks and the rest of Roger pirates will come to help, which is a bad idea and a war that nobody wants. Unlike Sengoku that we assume has Advanced Conqueror's haki, we saw the Advanced Conqueror haki of Rayleigh when he went to try and stop Teach. And as I said, while Teach didn't respect the power of Garp and Sengoku and called them old farts, Teach, while having a lot of crew on his back, while having the edge of victory, actually feared and respected the name of Dark King Rayleigh. Now, Rayleigh said that at old age like this, I am not able to defeat Teach. But the fact that Teach acknowledged the hype of Rayleigh, but not the hype of Sengoku and Garp, is out of this world. Ending a war based on your reputation is a thing that only Shanks and Rayleigh have done so far. In fact, among every legend, Rayleigh has the cleanest hype because we have never seen him getting any type of L in the story. Overall, just like Sengoku, I would argue that the prime Rayleigh is Yonko level. Now, I'm not sure if he's able to defeat any of the prime original Yonko, but he is on the same overall level. And at the old age, he has far more solid argument for being above Sengoku, and by default, any non-top tier. But next, we have the man of countless legends, the hero of Marine with a fist of justice who can bring a galaxy of haki upon everybody who dares to challenge him. The most astonishing thing about Prime God is that we barely heard few of his legends. In fact, Oda said if I ever want to write another story, Dragon and Garp would have been the perfect MCs for those stories. Being the strongest member of Marine with the strongest haki in the government side is enough hype for him. He's the only Marine who claimed that I can capture Roger. And through the world, he was famous for a man who cornered Roger many times. And Roger said that dozen of times we try to kill each other. Unlike Whitebeard, there is no obvious and clear statement that Roger and Garp had a one-on-one equal fight, but odds implied that yes, they had that. And honestly, his reputation about ending the Rock's pirates is more impressive than fighting against Roger. Later on, he destroyed an island crusher head with his basic, non-advanced Conqueror haki against Don Chin Chao. Even without his haki, he can destroy mountains like punching bags. And while Kaido didn't deem him worthy of being a Pirate King level, we can all assume that he was Pirate King level in his prime. And we have the most amount of information about his old self. Garp is 6 years older than the Marineford Whitebeard, so while not being sick, he is still very, very old. He stated that his physical capability is not even half as his prime. But he still punched Marco better than any admiral did, although that punch was a surprise attack. While his durability is human level, and if he don't defend himself, even Dadan can make him bleed, he claimed that I can kill Akainu if Sengoku let go of me. The rage of Garp was something to behold. His galaxy impact was so out of this world that we all lost our composure, but he said that when the hell did I get so weak? Garp was able to sense the presence of Shiryu when he wanted to attack him, but he lacked the future sight of predicting his attack. So, not only his advanced Conqueror haki, his advanced observation haki is now very weakened compared to his prime. And while we all assume he might be the best armament haki user out there, now in old age his armament control is very, very weak, because he wasn't able to defend himself of not getting pierced by the hand of Shiryu. And when he wanted to attack Shiryu, he did not use any armament haki for doing that attack. Rayleigh wanted to fight against Teach and his crew, But Garp did in fact fight against Kuzan and a vast majority of Teach crew. Single-handedly fighting against all of them is a feat that no legend has except one. And if Kuzan himself wasn't there, destroying the rest of that crew was easy job for him. Since Garp Haki was significantly weakened because of his old age, I cannot blame Garp for losing this battle. But the most shocking thing is that one legend actually performed better than Garp. A legend with no type of advanced Haki, a legend who was gravely ill, a legend who allowed himself to get even weaker, got stabbed and got a punch of magma in his chest, and yet one legend did better than Garp. At number 1, we have old, sick Whitebeard. As we all know, Primebeard is the pinnacle of One Piece power. On his younger days, he was the right-hand man of Zebek and the entire organization of Rock's crew. Ace Novel claimed that he was the only man who ever fought Roger equally. And narrator also said he was the man who even fought equally against Roger. He was the world's strongest man, and since he had the strongest kingdom, he was known as the world's strongest pirate. He had 3 types of Haki, and for one clash at very least, he matched the Haki of Roger himself. And above that, he had a devil fruit that could bring about the end of the entire world. Not to mention, during the Battle of Marineford, when Sengoku had no idea how sick Whitebeard is, he claimed that this is a man who can destroy the very world, and don't get too arrogant because we got so many top tier with us, we can very well lose this war because of that man. And Garp himself hailed Whitebeard as the king of the seas, meaning 2 previous legends in this list consider Whitebeard to be their top dog. And at the old age, at the very beginning, he had an equal clash with perhaps the best Haki user alive, Shanks. Knowing that that was a Haki-based attack proves how broken his Conqueror Haki was. But since for the Battle of Marineford he took away all the mitigation for himself, he could no longer use any type of advanced Haki in the Battle of Marineford. And his reaction speed was so low that even Squall took him off guard and stabbed him. Not advanced Haki, even the basic Haki of Whitebeard was very weakened at Marineford. And his armament Haki was basically gone because he had 500 scars from basically random marines until the end of battle. But his endurance for taking 500 scars and still keep fighting was the best in the entire story by far. And Garp took on a vast portion of a Yonko crew, but Whitebeard attacked the entire Marineford, and he was the man who was carrying the war. Both Garp and Whitebeard were fighting against the countless enemies all by themselves. But if we compare the damage that Akainu received from Whitebeard and the damage that Kuzan received from Garp, any objective eyes would say that Whitebeard did more damage to an admiral than Garp. Not to mention, by the end of the war, he was single-handedly the reason that Marineford got destroyed. And as far as physical power goes, an old, sick, injured, tired Whitebeard stopped a gigantic, massive moving ship with one arm at 1 second. He's a god. I know it is very, very hard to admit, but a sick Whitebeard with no advanced Haki did better against a far stronger enemy than old Garp did, who wasn't sick and his enemy wasn't as strong. The most shocking part of this video is that if we objectively compare everything that these legends do, Whitebeard will come on top. While we all assume that since Garp is not sick, he should perform better than a man who probably was his equal. So, if an old and sick Whitebeard looked objectively better than an old and not sick Garp, are they even equal in their prime? I mean, maybe we should trust the words of Sengoku and Garp and acknowledge that there is a real gap, not massive, but a real gap between Whitebeard and others. Whitebeard is a man that Garp is calling the king, meaning the rivalry is not 99% close. A gap exists. If Prime Whitebeard and Prime Garp don't be on same level, the One Piece power level as we know it will change forever. But this is how I compare the 4 legends of One Piece world. Comment your ranking, do not forget to subscribe. I really want my second channel to get as strong as possible very soon because I am greedy, and I see you all at Laugh Tale.